Good afternoon. I will do this presentation together with an ex-colleague of mine, Kristjan. So as far as I understand, in the program we're mentioned together with him. And I will talk a bit about who is expected to the program and what costs there are and so on. And Kristjan will talk a little bit about evaluation and things like that. Probably one small comment, and why do I ask Kristjan to do it? Because as you can see from the program, he's an entrepreneur. The reason for that, he is ex-colleague of ours, and he knows quite a lot about this program, so it's absolutely okay that he's here. Probably before I start talking about details of this program, I would like to say that together with the Ministry and the donors, we try to make this program as flexible as possible. And frankly speaking, this program has enormous meaning for Enterprise Estonia, simply because it's not the same program as we have mostly in our organization. There are okay, I wouldn't use the word absolutely, but there are quite a lot of different principles mentioned here, implemented here, and frankly speaking, this program is much more flexible than probably all the other programs that we have. This is a good news. A bad news is once we have this a bit complicated, very flexible and new program for us, then that means that we don't still have a good implementation practice. And that's why probably we won't be able, or some of our colleagues won't be able to answer all your questions from the very beginning. But nevertheless, we will get those questions, so don't worry about that. And now, talking about the program, I will start from this slide. Who is expected to participate? As you can see, the list is not very limited. I would say almost all the legal bodies that are registered in different registers in Estonia can actually apply for this grant. Also, you can see that there is a number of countries that are okay as partners in these projects, and probably I will draw your attention to the last point here, which is a bit technical, but nevertheless, unfortunately, it goes to some practice that we have with other programs. The consortiums that are okay in this program usually mean that different entrepreneurs agree with each other on different issues, and they make a partnership agreement between each other. And I know it's a technical question, not very important, but nevertheless, time after time, there are unfortunately sometimes when we witness that this small tiny part, the partnership agreements are not actually made between partners, and I just wanted to draw attention that it can be a problem in this program in case if you don't do it. So don't forget that in this case, different agreements and things like that actually bring money. All this program is divided into two parts, the small grant program and the open call. In case of small grant, the main difference is that in case of small grant, you get a small amount of money, and you can actually use this money, or you can use this part of the program in order to prepare your open call application. So it's easy as that. And as you can see, under that you can make a lot of activities. You can first of all look for partners, agree with your partners. You can make a business plan for yourself. You can actually buy in certain expertise or any other knowledge that you need for that. And after that you will get, we assume that you will get a good application for the main program. And once again, the small point at the very end of this slide, which tells that the small grant is not necessary to apply for open call, but and on the other side, when you apply for the open call, it doesn't mean that you have to have this small grant application. So there, on one side, they're logically connected. You need a small grant in order to prepare, or you may use a small grant in order to prepare this open call application, but on the other side, you don't have to do both of them. In case of open call, the story is a bit more complicated, but not as complicated as the following slides. First of all, as you can see, open call is meant for a new ICT products in different fields. I will probably bring you one example. Will it be useful if I bring an example? I'm trying to communicate, sorry. For instance, you have a manufacturing enterprise, and this enterprise has a sort of problem that can be solved with help of ICT. And let's assume that this sort of problem, it can be solved, but enterprise does not start to solve it simply because the commercial risks of that are too high. In other words, the amount of money I have to put into the development is too big, and you're not sure that you will, let's say, get this money back. This is a very good precondition to participate in this program. This is the first part. And the second part, this is a kind of our ideal understanding of what type of applicants we would like to see, is once this development is ready, then you get a product which can be actually marketed and sold as a private product. For instance, you're the manufacturing enterprise, you need a product to make your processes, certain kind of processes, faster in your company. So you find another partner, for instance, IT partner, and together with this partner, you make a new ICT solution for that. And this ICT solution on one side solves the problem of this manufacturer. On the other side, as let's assume that this problem is commonly spread in the same type of companies all over the region, you can actually sell this product to other companies, other manufacturers, as a different product that actually helps to improve the processes. Sorry. So this is our ideal understanding. Of course, Kristjan will tell in more details what's the ideal understanding, but this is just to give you an idea what we're expecting here. And okay, we'll talk about costs later. So, if we talk about the eligible costs, the general answer is absolutely extremely easy. We're ready to support almost any kind of the costs. As I told at the very beginning, we try to be very flexible. Mostly what we support here is actually salaries and related costs together with taxes. In addition to that, business trips, buying in needed knowledge, expertise for your company, and so on. So all these type of costs are absolutely eligible in this program under the small grants. If we talk about the open call costs, there are some additional things that we can support that we wouldn't otherwise support in a small grant. Under the open call, we also support overheads, a certain percentage, and so yes, as the Kristjan tells, 15% will be the overheads, and of course a number of other costs mentioned here on the slide. Probably one important thing to mention here, as you can see, this list is quite long here on one side, but on the other side you have to make sure that all the costs that you want to cover to reimburse under this part of the program, they must be absolutely 100% connected to the project. That means, for instance, if you buy or rent a piece of equipment, and let's assume that this piece of equipment can be used, for instance, 5 years, and the project lasts only 2 years. So it's just important to understand and to know that only 2 of 5, or in other words, 40% of this equipment will be eligible. Other costs will not be. And the same goes about salary, the same goes about expertise, the same goes about other costs related to a project. Okay, that was an easy part. Now comes a bit more complicated part. If we talk about the small grant and the finance rate for that, as you can see here, everything is quite simple. What you get is de minimis aid, and up to 75% of your costs are eligible. So that's what we can actually cover. The only limitation here will be the limit of de minimis aid for your company. In case if it's full, then you will probably have some problems with that, but if it's not full, so then you can use this money. In case of open call, the funding rates are a bit more complicated. Let's say under the open call, you can receive 3 different types of state aid. Let's start from the easiest way. The easiest way here, de minimis aid, as you can see, it can be given to, let's say, any applicant, and if you get this type of aid, you can get up to 75% of your costs. The problem can be, and we assume that there will be such cases, when you, for instance, the total budget of a project is bigger than the limit of de minimis aid, or other cases where, for instance, the limit of de minimis aid is full or not enough to get this funding. In this case, you can start using other types of help, and probably research and development part of it will be the easiest one for the most companies. But in addition to that, you can also use the young innovative enterprises type of help, which can be actually given to companies which are up to 6 years old and which have at least 15% of R&D costs during the last 3 years. So, as for me, it was quite complicated from the very beginning, and I assume that probably it's not clear enough for you also, so probably have some questions right now. So just get a feeling what you understand, what you don't understand. I know Estonian people. Oh, yes, yes, yeah. Size of large enterprises. Can you help me? 250 staff, and yes, please. I'm the guy who talks. He's the guy who knows.
Well, it's 250 employees, 50 million turnover, and 43 million balance sheet. But it's more complicated. If there must be taken into account subsidiaries, etc., etc. It's a formula for that.
Thank you. One more question. Okay. Yes, it is possible, but it's important to know that the percentage, the funding rate will be decided, and it will be one funding rate for the whole project, no matter which type of help you decide to use. And probably the last question. Yes, please. As far as I know, not, but am I wrong or am I right? It's not the necessary, it's not the preliminary. I was totally wrong, sorry. It must be over, yes, by that time. Okay, probably Kristjan has got the solution for that.
Behind that is that the small project should be planned to finish at the end of, let's say, the first open call will be deadline. Yes? you don't have to give in the, let's say, final report and get acceptance for that, but the activities should be ended, because the meaning of small grant is to prepare full or this open growth. Yeah, yeah.
Thank you. Okay, now the next slide. Here are just some details about the funding rates. Actually, what is told here, you may have projects when you have only one partner, but usually we prefer the projects when you have at least two partners. At least in case of evaluation, you will see that the projects with at least two partners from different member states get much more scores than the other projects. In addition to that, the share of one partner should not exceed 70% of eligible costs. So we do not want to see the projects where there is a number of partners, but actually all the costs are made by only one of them. And the principle of at least two different member states is also quite important in this program. I assume you will get these slides later also from, actually all this information is available on our website. So who wants, you can read it later. Eligibility period. Probably the most important thing to mention here is that, and this is actually quite different comparing to some other programs that Enterprise Estonia has. The usual practice with Enterprise Estonia's program is that the eligibility period starts from the time you give in your application. In case of this program, it's different because the eligibility period for you starts from the moment when you get approval decision for your project. That means, for instance, if you give your application in July, and you will get the decision only by the end of October, and your eligibility period will start only in October. So it's also quite an important thing, and it's quite different from the practice that we have with other programs in Enterprise Estonia. And as you can see here, small grants, projects up to 9 months, and some limits are also here, and open calls up to 2 years. And as you can see, the deadline for eligibility period of the program is actually just in a few years from today. So if you talk about the applying for the grant, as you can see today, we have this big event when we talk to you a lot of good words and try to promote this program. The real possibility to apply for the grant will be starting from the next Monday. Starting from the next Monday, we will be ready to get your small grant applications. And starting from the April the 1st, please don't be confused by the date, you can actually apply for the open call. And the logic is the open call. You can provide these applications from starting from the April 1st. By the end of July, it will be the deadline, and after that, by the end of October, you will get the decisions. And after that, starting from the November, you can apply for open call part 2, and by the end of February, you will get the decision for the second call. Decision-making process. Probably the second point is not that important because you already know the dates, but the first one is important. So 30 working days is for decision-making in terms of a small project. And it looks like this is the end of my slides. But before I finish with that, as I told at the very beginning, this program is very flexible comparing to the programs that we have had. And there is quite a big number of different variations that can be here. I mean, who can apply, how to apply, what kind of state aid you will get, and what rate you will have, and so on. And that's why the wisest thing to do when you feel interested in this program is to actually ask our staff, ask Enterprise Estonia staff for the consultation and just describe your situation. We'll both try to figure out the solution. And in order to do that, I will probably introduce here my colleagues who are here today. And first of all, of course, Kristjan, he will start talking soon. Ex-colleagues of ours, but he knows quite a lot. In addition to that, but please also know that when you talk to Kristjan, this will not be an official Enterprise Estonia's consultation. If you want to get an official Enterprise Estonia's consultation, you have to contact our colleagues, our consultants who are right here. Could you please stand up for a moment so that our audience could see you? So here they are, the heroes of our today. Okay, thank you. And in case if you have questions regarding a business trip, or you have questions regarding some other, so to say, soft activities in terms of this program, and actually you can turn to Annari, which will, yes, who will have a presentation shortly after myself and then Kristjan. And just wanted to tell that Annari, in addition to that, to the point that she can answer a lot of questions, she's actually the queen of today, because thanks to her, everything here actually happens from the point of view of Enterprise Estonia. But thank you for your attention, and Kristjan, please.
Thank you, Dima. Well, good evening from my side also. Before I start, thank you, Dima, for a good introduction. I would emphasize some details. Dima showed this overhead cost thing. It's a totally new thing for Enterprise Estonia. It's 15% out of direct personal cost can be covered without any, let's say, documentation. It means on the other side that any kind of overheads is not eligible for direct costs. So it's again new things for Enterprise Estonia, and but I think it's the meaning behind that is simplification, to do things more simple. The way I will explain is actually I do my interpretation through the evaluation criteria, and I start from full grant evaluation criteria and go to the small grant criteria. But before that, it was coincident that last week was in Tallinn seminar called e-service, let's say Estonian IT Tiger Next Jump, and I watched what they did there. Actually, the link is there. What you can see it yourself. I think most of you already have attended, but I think the mindset what was presented there in this seminar was very much the same what I will talk in next slides. I will emphasize those main things. The user perspective was one thing what almost everybody said, that the E versus service. The E is not so important, the technology is not so important. The question is, what is the service, what is the value what you bring with your service? And if you bring value, then the buyers will come, and there is business behind that. So there was very clear message from the industry, from IT industry. There was also a dilemma or discussion about useful versus usable in context of usability, what is in ICT a very important thing, but before to do things very usable, we should think, is it meaningless? What is it? Is there meaning in that service or product? And also, what was brought out there was the challenge. Where the challenge is it in the technology, in this case in ICT, or some kind of mindsets? And one example they bring there, the question why Estonia hasn't exported the ID card infrastructure or something else is not a question of technology, it's a question of mindsets or laws or something else. So the big question is how to understand the wider context, not just technology, what is inside the solution or service. And also what is important is this validated learning dilemma, that it's actually very connected to this grant scheme, because the small grant could be used to validate your idea, to do some kind of fast prototype, to go to the market, to test and get good feedback, and then make big investments. So the mindset is very, very close to this this Green Innovation Program mindset is close to this value what they bring out there. And also finally the profitability, as they said, should be a side effect of created value to the customer. So it's not a aim as itself. But let's move to the criteria. This is first criteria of open call. It's how one or the other project impact to the program aim or program objectives. And first one, as you can see, 1.1 is impact to the natural, economic and social environment. This is also something new again for Enterprise Estonia. We usually have said that what is important is business, but as previous speakers has already many times said, the question is not only money, question is a wider context, and this three-dimensional or three spheres of environment, economic, social, and let's say natural environment is something what should be look at it. And this is just one picture of the same spheres of sustainable thinking, the environmental, social, and economic. And the challenge in this, let's say, program is that companies should demonstrate how the impact on those environments will go. You should be able to demonstrate what was the situation before your big new solution and after. And that will be, I think, a challenge for all of us to understand. Okay, natural environment we can maybe measure and calculate and quantify somehow, but how to quantify social or, well, economical aspect of, well, will the market will be more open or something like that? This is I think, a totally new approach, but yeah, and of course, every project shouldn't demonstrate all of those aspects. Question is, your concrete project in concrete area, is it e-health, transportation, energy, or production, should demonstrate where the impact is and show the way how you calculated it. To go more deeper, zoom into this economic or this environmental issues, the question is always about to do things effectiveness versus efficiency. We talk a lot about efficiency, but as I think in one of the first this program partner day, the ICT association said that there is no meaning to do thing efficiently when the thing what we do is has no sense. So then we do nonsense things more efficiently. The question is, what is the reason of one or the other, let's say, process what we will go to develop? So this program will challenge you to open those real things behind the efficiency game. And the same thing is symptom versus cause. So the question, we shouldn't maybe cure symptoms, so maybe it's better to cure causes, and the same thing goes with the question why this or the other process in society goes like that. Is there something what is changed maybe in times? I think there is many things, and of course again some areas those questions are very simple and very black and white, that somewhere it's not so simple. And the challenge in this evaluation criteria is that you really should show the way how you calculated this impact, and this will be one evaluation criteria, how you did it and how big it is. Is it small, medium, or good impact to those environments? And again, it shouldn't be every project in every area. Question is where your project impacts. And as the previous speakers already many times told, this the question is not just this green or like emotional side of this green. The question is level of let's say awareness and how transparently you do things, and in what side the values are going. So just when we developed this program, we contacted or let's say mapped some possible let's say approaches or methods how to measure, how to let's say quantify this social, let's say social, environmental or economical impacts, and there is just some ideas who try to do the same thing, quantify this this impact. And there is no right or wrong way or methods. You just should show what method you used and how adequate it is. So I spent on that point very long time, but I think this is this is one of the main aims of the program, this environmental question. Then that's why I emphasize this. The innovation part. Well, this is more, let's say, easy from Enterprise Estonia side, because we have Enterprise Estonia have had long history to evaluating and consulting the innovative R&D projects. So the question is, what new idea you bring with that, or you just doing something what is already done many times. Of course, there is dilemma. You shouldn't. This is not a message that it should be revolutionary innovation always. It could be incremental in technological side. Maybe it's easy to do, but let's say to approach differently, whatever way or whatever level. Is it technological? Maybe it is value chain approach. What you do differently and add value. But you must demonstrate what you do differently. What is your good value-added point to this program? And thirdly, under this evaluation criteria, the question is dynamic of the applicants. Of course, Enterprise Estonia as an entity whose aim is develop economy, the question is how you learn through that process, through that project. And there comes this cooperation part. When you do good cooperation with, for example, Norwegian partners or other partners, well, the thinking behind that is that you learn to do more, let's say, international cooperation, and do after that project maybe another. But again, this will be under evaluation, how you do that, what are dynamics of your company and partners, of course. There is always applicant and partners. Yep.
Just a question about the weights. Do you have any predefined weights on the different aspects?
Yeah, there are. I didn't put them, but let's say there is 3 main criteria. They all are 30%, the main criteria, and the sub-criteria are also weighted. Though these numbers will be available, or 18 or first of this open call final numbers and weights will be published when the open call will be launched. I mean, 1st of April, I think, will be all the weights available. Okay, let's move to the second criteria. Second criteria is about very normal thing. Maybe it must be emphasized. Yes, this project must be a business project. It can't be, let's say, just some without sustainable business model or to go to more detail. The first sub criteria will evaluate the market potential of this service, and there is always the question about balance between ambitious and identified need or readiness of the market. We in Enterprise Estonia have seen a lot of projects where the calculation will show that yes, there is huge market and technologically we do innovative solution, but as we have seen also from the history that's not enough. The question is always how you enter to this market. Do you exactly know that does anybody needs your service there, etc. So the question will be not only the market analysis intelligence, but your strategy, how you go to those markets and how you add value there. And second sub-criteria will be not the market perspective, but the solution perspective. What is the business model of your solution? And I already said this market entering strategy and compatibility to the wider context. This leads us, for example, to this. If we take Estonian case, then there is always this ID card example. The question is how if you target one or the other market, then how you demonstrate that you know what is the, let's say, ICT infrastructure there and how your solution will go. We have seen solutions that somebody here who have done very good job on one or the other service say that, well, now I go to export, and well, I think every ICT people will say that okay, but the critical part of your solution is ID card connection, and you don't have it there, so how you do it? So that will be the challenge and question, how you exactly go there, and what is the critical aspect of your solution. Let's move on to the third and final open call criteria. We moved from the first one was aim of, I would just say that the organizational capability, it's always a dilemma for let's say agencies like Enterprise Estonia or others who have to evaluate what is more important. Is this idea important, or is this innovation important? And this always are discussed that, well, yes, the people behind the idea are probably most important. You could show us very nice idea, but if you can't show that you have experience on that, then it's question mark. Can you deliver it to the market? And first sub criteria will be organizational capability in both phases, in development phase and commercialization phase. It's always, again, if we look back to the Enterprise Estonia experience, then we see a lot of demonstration that we have done a lot of ICT solutions, very nice, very good, but how we haven't went to the market with this kind of business model. So from that evaluation criteria, we, or experts of the evaluation committee should evaluate, does the team demonstrates the ability to go commercially, whatever market they target. And well, in other side, you should demonstrate you have the knowledge and intelligence behind this software part. It's also not only R&D part and ICT development part. This first, there is also this cooperation quality question. As we many times have heard, the program is aimed for value-added cooperation. It means consortia, it means different partnerships, different roles in partnerships. So the question is, we should, in ours, from Enterprise Estonia's side, we should see that the quality of consortia is good, that every partner add value there. There is no just blur partners whose aim or activities are ununderstandable. Well, and of course, the project management quality. If we talk open call, then we talk relatively big projects. We should see that the project is in good hand, and that criteria will evaluate it. Second sub-criteria, financial capabilities. This is a usual thing that, of course, there is grant, relatively big grant amount, but always there is self-financing part. The question is, you should be able to demonstrate the ability to finance yourself, and there is two parts. One is this R&D phase. This is one amount of money, but one business model or the other acquires maybe in the next phase, entering market phase, much more financial finances. So the question is, do you have an idea or plan how to demonstrate that you have also for the next phase? Because the aim of this program is not to make this very nice and beautiful ICT solutions, but that they will go to the market and live there. That's why it's important to demonstrate your ability to and capability to finance the project. And third and final sub-criteria is qualitative project preparation. Well, this is something what every agency like Enterprise Estonia but they evaluate that all the activities and costs are calculated accurately, all the things are transparent. That's normal sub-criteria in Enterprise Estonia's case. Okay, now we can move on to the small. Well, yeah, there are some particularities. There will be extra bonus for Norwegian Estonian so-called bilateral partnership. It gets in evaluation system 10 extra percentages. Well, it makes more sense if you see the other weights and percentages, but anyway, it's 10%. And the last one, this is something what is relatively new for Enterprise Estonia. Again, this is large enterprises. In case of large enterprises, there should be evaluated additionality effect. I'm not sure if it's correct in English, but anyway, it's kind of state aid rule that says that in case of giving state aid to the large enterprises, there must be done like calculation. Does this state money change something, or they do it anyway? But I think I am not exactly the specialist. As much as I know, if there are innovative solutions and there are, as we told, this impacts, then I think it should be okay also for large enterprises. This is not only a question of how much money you have on your bank account, but just to point out it. Yep. The question was who will do the evaluation of additionality effect. That's I'm not 100% sure. I think inside the program is written that it must be done by the applicant, but well, it haven't been said very clearly. But I think it's in that program. It's the cooperation between Enterprise Estonia and client relationship people must be very active and very open. So it's in cooperation, but technically it should be done, I think, from the applicant side.
We will definitely need information from the applicant side, and Enterprise Estonia on the other side will say that yes, there is an additionality effect in this case or not. So in every case, we will definitely ask you for a short explanation why this project shouldn't have been done without state aid. So in case if we can actually bring it out and tell that we need this money simply because without this money we wouldn't be able to do it, or it would take much more time, or it would take much more resources, and it will make this project not good for us, not acceptable for us, then in this case we will, let's say, give our opinion on the other side. So this technically, this additionality and this additionality question is quite complicated. It's complicated simply because when you look at the definition of this additionality effect, then actually it tells that that additionality effect is there in case if the project is done either bigger or in a bigger scale or faster or something like that. And actually that doesn't give any limits, or that doesn't give any feeling of how much faster it must be made, or in how big a scale it must be made. So that's why we will be quite flexible in giving an opinion to this question also. But in every case, we will need your explanations why the state aid is needed and why it cannot be done in the same scale and at the same within the same schedule without this state aid.
But it's only for large companies, just to be clear. Not okay. Yeah.
Yes.
Please use the mic. Just mentioned two criteria for additionality, but I would ask, would this be enough to explain the grant for a very big company if we say that without this grant we would just buy a very simple solution from Finland, but now we will just develop it here in Estonia and sell it to Finland probably?
That's a good start, but after this start we have to look together with you at what exactly are we talking about, and buying this solution from Finland, what does that mean? And in other words, it's a good start, but it's not very easy to give you an answer according to this information that we already gave. So we need a bit more information for that.
Okay, but since I already started talking about Finland, I saw two different slides. One was about this another state we should have in the project team. There was one slide that there should be another member state added, and there was another slide with a name list of different companies, not mentioning Finland. So my question is, can we add Finland? Is this enough?
You mean different countries? The thinking behind that list of countries is connected with well, do we have any Ministry of Finance people here who can explain? But anyway, the list is closed. It's connected to Norwegian grant law, and Finland is not connected, but Finland company cannot be as a partner. It means getting directly grant from this program, but there is no obstacles to if this company is subcontractor or doing something for Estonian company or for Norwegian company. So it's different levels of partnership, different types. You don't have, no. You don't have. Well, I will answer the previous question. If you want to buy, if you say that your options are to buy something from Finland or do here, then the answer will be most probably it is not the project aim type of project, the program type of project, because if you can buy it already, there is no development.
No, it would be very simple to buy it, but we have
Okay.
If it's a dialogue, then please.
I'm sorry. We don't want to buy this very simple solution. It would do, but we want to have a sustainable solution, and then we have to develop it ourselves. It's more expensive.
Well, it's as Dima said, it's hard to say something from the additionality point of view. But I think this is the discussion between you and Enterprise Estonia in the very beginning to make these things clear. What is the essence of your project? What is the business model? What is etc. All other criteria, and then the answer should come. Does it fit or doesn't? It doesn't.
As we are going to have pre-consultations later, then you can ask specifically about your project.
Okay.
All right.
Hi, fantastic presentation, but instead of writing down everything, this will be available on the portal of Entrepreneur Estonia. The slides you have made, will they be available?
Yep. Yes, yes, this will all, but I would say that this is not, it will be in our website, among others presentations, and just to say, this is not juridically correct, this is a bit of interpretation. My aim was to open and draw the picture, what is the thinking behind the criteria, but this slide will be available and the exact criteria will be available.
Second thing regarding applications, will there be a template for application, so you have this list of all the keywords there, so it is some kind of easy to follow up, make sure that you have all the issues with you?
Well, yes, we have an application form. This is one thing where you fill the things, but we don't have the list of right keywords to use. But anyway, just maybe worth to mention that all the application procedures goes through our web window, however it's called. So there is no paper way of apply. E-service, yes, exactly. And in our website is already those links are available. And okay, you will talk it. Okay. All right, I will finish up with this small grant evaluation as yep. Okay.
Yeah, I'm helping. I do have a question, but it can wait until the end so that you can finish. Actually, I meant to ask it before from you regarding the timing. You said there is 30 days for the decision making for the small grants and 70 days for the large grants, but the slide said from the day of application. And there I was a little bit confused. Would the 70 days start counting from the deadline of the large grants, or from the day that I submit my application, for instance? Thank you.
Also, for the ones who are listening at home, it was about the deadline, yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just a small question. Non-profit organizations and things like that, does that include governmental bodies, like universities and things like that? Can they be partners?
Well, this goes a bit deep detail, overall, non-governmental organizations are eligible, but there are they're kind of bodies who are connected to the government. Monika, can you help me? What is the correct way to say this?
The governmental non-profit organizations are not eligible partners or applicants under this program area.
Governmental non-profit organizations. The thinking behind that is, again, it's okay when it's, for example, ICT association doing something bigger than one company should do. That kind of NGO is quite okay when it has sustainable, let's say, business model or model how this solution will survive after the project. In that case, NGOs are okay, but if they are governmental NGOs, it's not allowed. Okay, we can.
I think you can finish up. Yeah.
Right. Then small grant evaluation. It's relatively simple, but to be clear, first criteria says that in that small grant application should be there should be something. The idea should aim to the objective of program, and I explained the objective of program in open call first criteria. It's those environmental issues, it's cooperation issue, it's things like that. So it's you have to connect the small grant with the big one or open call one. And to be more precise, then focus on preparation. The question is what activity you do there, and Dima showed the eligible activities. The thinking behind that is that actually whatever thing you need to do to prepare this open call project could be done if you can explain the meaning and connection to the open call procedure or project. Then second sub criteria is well, I already said compatibility to the program objectives and focus on bilateral Norwegian international cooperation is also, let's say, evaluated. And second criteria for small grant is does this company or those applicants have capability to do big project? It's a bit controversial question because in the first phase we don't know exactly what is the project, but anyway we should see that maybe it wasn't so clear. The amount of big project is around, let's say, the full minimum full project around 300,000 euros. It means that it's relatively big for small companies. So the question will be that do this applicant for small grant have capability to do big project? As I said, it's a bit controversial to evaluate in that phase, but anyway, you should demonstrate you can do big things. And under that, there is the same thing asked from financial capabilities. Of course, you don't have to demonstrate that you have in your bank account available this self-financing. The question is a strategy, how you add finances to your open call projects. And of course, always the project budget, transparency and justification questions, like every cost or every activity you do should be transparent, understandable, and let's say with common sense to say that yes, this is makes value to the project, and this is the cost level is acceptable. And finally, again the same quality of the small grant project. And my last slide will be just, well, I tried to describe this ideal project recipe. You asked the correct word. Maybe this is answer for you. Well, there should be, I don't know, maybe one part, maybe the parts could vary, but ambitious and talented international teams is one ingredient. Value adding to the environments, those 3 environments we talked about: innovative idea, sustainable business model, and commitment. Well, the last one is also coming from past of Enterprise Estonia. It's always, in one hand, easy to demonstrate the idea and say that if you give money, then we are very committed to do that. And from other side, is hard to evaluate that. If evaluators don't see the commitment, then there is question mark. Is it a real project, or maybe the people haven't decided yet? So it's again dilemma question. There is no right or wrong things. It's just a thing to notice. Thank you.
So, any more questions? Okay.
I will ask just typical question from previous R&D projects which came up. This vision here was very much market oriented, meaning that you should basically prove that you could earn money. Could you earn money already during the eligible project period here or not?
Good question. Yes, actually, this should have been in this particularities thing that, yes, there are a lot of rules in state aid world, and this is one that if you earn money already in the project period, then you must calculate it before out of the project budget. It means you have 100,000 budget, and you know that you earn already in the project 10,000, then the 100% is 90,000, where we calculate the aid, or yeah. It is so, yes. You have to calculate it out from the budget. And this is also one small thing I think is worth to speak with my ex-colleagues to do it very, very early phase. Yep.
Thank you. Any other questions? All right.
Thank you. I had a question about the SME ranking. For example, if you are if your company is owned by a holding company, and this company has subsidiaries, will be this added up as a linked companies when you're ranking an SME?
Well, I think the SME calculation goes, I think, up to 3 levels. Can anybody back me up? And down if you have subsidiaries, and they sum up all the those, if you this 250 employees, etc. Those numbers, they have to be taken in account. Your owners, etc. Well, 3 levels, not more.
Any other questions? If okay, one more.
When does eligibility period start? From handing over the application or from positive decision?
As Dima said, it's very important to say it very loudly. It starts from the positive decision. No, let's say, eligible activities or cost can be done before that.
Is that it? Okay, one more.
Just one clarification on who owns who. If you're owned by a company with like 49%, how does that go in your calculations?
With 49%? Well, it is. If you are, let's say, small company with 10 employees and you are owned by a company, let's say, 100 workers, employees, then it counts to you with 49 employees. 10 plus 49, then you have, well, 59.